decline.
Fatima, great to see you as always. I want to kick off with something a little bit controversial. So, you're in the business of making lots of people redundant. Explain that to people.
That's a good way of starting a podcast. That's a good hook. I would disagree with that statement. I think it's a false narrative, and it becomes every time I read that on news, I'm like, oh, please, let's
Tell us
stop.
why you think it's a false narrative. I mean, I think you're probably right, but tell us why.
Because we are in a time we need more than ever people, actually. It's more about leveraging people's skills. And then if you think about hiring from a CEO perspective, the right approach would be to look at processes, ways of automating, but reorganizing or restructuring the team in a way that certain elements can be done through AI or automation, but the rest or the people should make sure that they are in the team to be positioned as decision leaders or strategic overseeing the automation. And so it's not about it makes people redundant. That's maybe because a lot of leaders are following that false narrative and thinking, okay, we have AI, let's get rid of people. It's about, okay, we have this amazing technology. How can we use it for our best advantage? How can we
Sure.
organize the team in a way that support this new technology? So um, I'm not following. I'm not. I never follow the hype or thinking, okay, there is this new technology, let's go full on this, because you will see that so many news that you see about AI is related to is more a marketing push, is
Yeah.
more about, hey, let's be on board with agentic AI. But if you're really into the nitty gritty of the technology, it takes ages to do the training or to work it out, the technology. So I would say cautious about following that main narrative. Of course, I read stories, Paul, and there are stories of people who lose their job or just recently graduate and can't find job in programming or in coding. It's because also you have such a big push in the media to follow its AI. It's the gold rush, and everybody wants to go. So it's more about the demand that is not necessarily matching
Sure. Okay.
the current
So,
need. Yeah.
so let's park that for a second. Let me just ask you about being an entrepreneur. I mean, what is it that appealed to you about becoming an entrepreneur? Because I mean, you've built a very successful business now. I mean, why did you want to become an entrepreneur? What was it that was important about that for you?
Good question, Paul. And I see that also again in the media, there is this narrative of even pushed by Sam Altman, the founder of OpenAI, to say that there's not a better time to launch a business.
Hmm.
Yes, it's true because now with the tools available, you can quickly prototype a product. You can quickly put something into the market.
But
But
why did you want to be an entrepreneur?
well, sometimes I have been an entrepreneur since I'm maybe 10 years old. I'd go into the garage of my friends and I'll ask their parents, hey, sir, hey, madam, do you mind selling this? Because I go to the market tomorrow and I'm going to sell it for you. So I used to go into my friend's garage and try to find ways of getting or trading. I think I always loved trading, exchanging, being in a market, and I would wake up at 5 a.m. in a market and go to the market and sell. So to answer your question, it's something that I've been doing naturally
Hmm.
since I'm young.
And it
I
certainly
love
comes
trading.
across that you enjoy it. That certainly comes across whenever I talk to you. Let me come back to your business then. So, Tell us about the mission. What is it you're trying to achieve? I mean, tell us a little bit about the business and tell us what you're trying to achieve.
Yes. My goal is to build new way of operating, of building new systems in the workplace. My mission and then the mission at AI Bot Consultancy is to change the way we do things, is to challenge the status quo. We don't do PowerPoint presentation. We don't, go through the regular way of running an engagement with our client. We have a different approach. We are more focusing on connection with the client, creative collaboration, and we try our best to, we don't hide behind documents. We're just trying to make the whole experience more agile, more closer to our customers. So my mission is to change the way work or the business is being perceived and has always been perceived. And I think AI is a fantastic
Yeah.
disruptor. It really, it's not just a technology and you plug and play. It's different. It really mirror the flows or the weaknesses of a business. So you have leaders that come to me and say, well, we want to implement AI. Well, I have to push back a little bit and say, well, before we start to talk about AI, let's talk about what needs to be resolved, because sometimes you just don't need AI per se. You probably need to build the right foundation. You need to look at how your team is operate, how it's working. So my mission is really to change the way we operate in a business environment and have a more human connection, a more soulful purpose when it comes to building a business.
Okay. And tell me about the moment when you thought this business could be a global player. I mean, because that's the journey that you're on, isn't it? I mean, what was that like? That moment when you thought this, I could go anywhere with this.
Yes. It's always a risk you take, Paul. When you launch a venture, you hear a lot about people's problem and pain point, and you just try to help. So I just plug myself and our services into the need of our customers, and whether it's in the US or in the Middle East or in Asia, it doesn't really matter. What you really need to pay attention is the cultural element, is how to behave with certain markets and how to be patient or how to approach
Well,
certain.
let's come back to that in a second. In terms of when you realized it could go global, what did you think would be the main barrier that you'd have to overcome to achieve that goal? I mean, what was as it were, the thing that you thought, oh, that's the thing I'm going to have to work on? What would that thing have been? What was the main obstacle?
I'd say it would be the cultural barrier, the way of pushing forward certain decisions that has to take into account the cultural element of
So
the
you mean the
business
resistance to
environment.
change?
The
Do you mean
resist
resistance to change? Yeah.
Yes, so there is resistance to change within the business, but there's also the sort of the cultural change or the cultural barrier that makes something to go forward a little bit more difficult.
Sure. Okay. Well, we'll come back to that in a second because I want to ask you a bit more about
Yeah,
that. Let's just turn to your role as the CEO. I mean, what is it about that mission
yeah,
that inspires you to kind of get out of bed every day and keep plugging? Because running a global business is a tough gig. There are good days, there are bad days. It's a bit of a roller coaster. I mean, what is it that inspires you to stick at it and to push through all those challenges?
yeah. Well, that's why I really like your show and the title of it as well, See You Uncensored. So I think they are up and down, and there's a lot of down. So every time you have a problem and you have to overcoming, there's always another problem popping in. It's another challenge after challenge. And I think what keeps me always motivated is the idea of finding new creative way to address this. Try to take a step back. So I have, let's say, 2 days a week or one day, depending of my the number of meetings that I have, but I try to keep at least one day per week where I have no meeting. I walk in the woods near where I live, and I try to think creatively about the challenge that I have. So I think it's what I love about being a CEO. And CEO, I mean, between fully transparent with you, it's a title. Is a title. I really like to call myself as an orchestrator. How do I orchestrate certain aspects or certain areas of the business? How can I orchestrate the people I would work with? And I try to find ways of approaching this
Yeah.
creatively.
Well, one of the things that we talked about previously was your interest in kind of disrupting the way things are done, getting people to do things differently, which I always thought was very interesting. One of the challenges for the CEO is to work out from all the noise, all the things that are going on. We're going to do this, not that. I mean, they say strategy is mainly about what you don't do. I mean, how do you figure out how to cut through the noise and to focus on the things that are really important to you and your business that will help build the business and so on? I mean, how do you work that out? How do you cut through the noise?
It's interesting, and I put that as well in a book that I am writing for my daughter, that will be released soon. Cutting through the noise, it's paramount, and I think one of the uh, how to say, I think one of the core perception that people has about me is I like to cut through the BS. Can I say some bad words or is it not?
BS is fine, no more than that.
No more than that. Oh, I thought it was uncensored today.
That's the limit to the censorship.
Right.
Anyway, carry on. Go on, carry on.
But I like to to cut through the BS, and that's what resonates a lot among my clients and the people I work with, and they know that I'm capable of seeing what is the noise, especially in the AI world, and what is worth pursuing. How do I do that? Read the book. But I think I also try a lot. I try, I test, I experiment. Something comes up, I test. I spend a bit of time to see, okay, how long it's going to take, what people are saying. And I check the source. Who is saying that? Does it has any tie with certain political element or organization? Or I try to really check the source and the veracity of the news or the noise, whether it's a noise or whether it's actually a fact
Yeah.
worth going through.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting you say that. Quite a few CEOs have said to me that they try stuff and then they work out what works and what doesn't work, and they do more of what works. They stop doing what doesn't work, which is, I think, is a beautifully simple formula
Yeah.
for figuring out how to move forward because it's really difficult otherwise, isn't it? How do you work that out? So let me ask you about the business model that you've developed because you're working in multiple jurisdictions. I mean, you're working with a very new technology. I mean, how did you figure out the right business model?
Um, So the approach is what I really believe is seeing the evolution of a client of a businesses,
Yeah.
and I see change. Some others call it measurable outcomes. I call it an evolution path. So I have a model that allows a business to start from zero and see some progress at the end of the program. How do I do that? I get them on a training, which I call AI activation. They are being trained, they understand, they build the AI literacy. And based on that, we also now we can have a better conversation with each other because they have the training as well. So they are aware of what AI is about, what AI can do for the business, what are the pitfalls, etc. And so after that, I audit and I pinpoint weaknesses and strengths. We talk about everything. It's a 360-degree view on the business. It's branding, marketing, positioning, etc. And then after that, we're looking at the core work, the activities. What do we need to tackle? How do we implement this? Do we need to search for vendors? Do we need to find ways of, leveraging some resource online available? So we're trying to be creative about how we approach this
I
uh,
mean,
before
one of the
jumping into the, yeah.
Yeah, well, one of the things that's interesting about what you've just said is what you've said is essentially that you train the client and then you can talk with the client sensibly about how to use the technology. Whereas if they don't understand the technology, they can't do this. It's a really interesting approach that to help the client understand it. And then you can have a sensible conversation. I think what I see often is people fall down. They don't understand that the client doesn't understand, and then they can't have a sensible conversation with the client. Whereas you overcome that hurdle, which I think is a really smart move.
And some business leaders tell me, Fatima, you're challenging me. You're sending me this this training to take, or this. I keep them. I keep a communication open on a
Yeah.
regular basis, and I say, and so that they can really immerse themselves on the new way of doing business or
Yeah.
the new way of
Because
assessing.
AI enables things to be done in very different ways, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Let me just ask about, as we kind of moving towards talking about growth. I mean, one of the key things that you've got to do is to bring on board a good team. It's
Mm.
very difficult to build a business unless you've got a good team on board. I mean, how do you get the right people on the bus? What's your approach to that?
It's hard, I have to say. It's
Mm.
really hard. I have a framework that I use. It's called EPO framework. It stands for energy, purpose, and outcomes. I don't believe in CVs. I don't believe in rigid job descriptions. I dislike it. That's an euphemism. I don't believe in that. I think this is an old way of doing this. The old way in the 60s when you go to the office and you hand over your paper and you bring something, which is cute and it's lovely, but I don't believe in that anymore. I think it's all about how the person is uh, putting the energy on or having energy for. I try to match that with where the needs would be or how this person could help me. So I start first by the person, this energy and its purpose, whether it's match the purpose of the business and then the role itself, or if there's anything we should redesign based on that. But it's people first.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that makes a lot of sense, particularly given the amount of change that's happening in your world at the moment. And let me ask you another question about the team thing. I mean, how do you, once you've got the right people on the bus, I mean, how do you create an environment or the conditions that enable people to thrive? Because you obviously want people to perform effectively. I mean, how do you create, you get the right people on the bus, then you've got to create a world in which they can thrive. I mean, how do you do that?
I think as a CEO, I have to make sure that I keep the communication open with them, and I have to ensure that um, they have what they need. So I see myself more as an enabler, and they can rely on me as, maybe coaching or help or connecting with other people. Or so I'm here for them to enable them to do the best that they can. That's it, and then the rest just follow. But it's really as more as an enabler that I see myself.
Okay. Yeah, I get that. I mean, what you're saying is you help deal with the barriers that are getting in the way of them doing their jobs by removing them. If they need to talk to somebody, you connect them if they can't connect themselves. Yeah, so I get the logic of that. I think there's a lot of sense to that. And let's talk about customers for a bit. I mean, what does a great customer look like to you? I mean, you're one of the challenges of your role is you have to educate people about something they really don't understand or often don't understand. I mean, what does a great customer look like to you?
Curiosity. A great customer is curious. A great customer wants to learn, is interested, ask a lot of questions. Curiosity is key for me. A great customer is somebody who asks questions and want to understand rather than is prescriptive and I want you to do this for me and I want you because sometimes and most of the time there are elements that should be taken into account that they don't see. So I think a great customer to me is somebody that is curious and desiring to take various approach regardless, and also is agile and happy to test, and if it doesn't work, try different ways. So I think curiosity first and agility in trying new things is paramount
Okay.
as a customer.
I get that. I mean, one of the other interesting things about your situation is that you often have to. I mean, as you've already said, some customers think you're challenging them. I mean, it seems to me that makes building relationships a bit harder, or can do. I mean, what's your take on how you build a long-term productive relationship with a customer? Is that what you aim to do?
Yes, yes, of course. I always start with a place of, long-term partnerships. Actually, how I do that, I embed myself with the systems of the client. So from a tech standpoint, I would be added in their current system that they work with and they operate. So I'm part of their collaboration tool and I exchange some information about it or training about AI. And so I already, from the beginning of our relationship, I start to have an ecosystem, a foundational ecosystem where we can thrive in the long run. So that's paramount. And then after that, yeah, just be there for them anytime they need, regardless of the commitment of or what the SOW says. It's more about the relationship. So you can leverage me anytime you need, regardless of whether the program has ended or not. But that's the mindset I have.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
long term, yeah.
I mean, and it's interesting that you say that because I think relationship building is about having the right mindset. I mean, just as you've just said, if you've got the wrong mindset, all those things won't happen. So getting the right mindset seems to me pretty important. Let me ask you about new markets. I mean,
Yeah.
when I talk to some CEOs, they say, if I'm going into a new market, I spend a lot of money on marketing. I go and visit the country or the jurisdiction.
Yeah.
I get partners there. I mean, I invest an awful lot of time and energy developing what you might call a market entry strategy
Yeah.
before taking the risk. Other CEOs say, "Oh, I've just found this client in Berlin, so I'm going to go and work with them in Berlin and Germany." And I mean, where are you on that spectrum? How do you see market entry? Because you're in quite a few different jurisdictions, aren't you?
Yes, I am. I'm more leaning towards the latter, which is there's no barrier. I will have a client, let's say, in the Middle East, and I'll go and I'll visit, and of course, I'll do my research and making sure that I'm aware of the cultural element of it, or how businesses are behaving, or what is the jurisdiction. But I think it's, you know, again, it's not an outdated word, but we live in a global village. There's no real difference or boundaries anymore when it comes to approaching clients, because solutions quite speak for a lot of countries or deliver results for a lot of
And
countries.
I guess you want to move quickly as well. They want you to move quickly, don't they? So you don't want to waste a lot of time if you don't
Yeah.
need to. Yeah, I get that. And to come back to the point you made earlier on about cultural differences, I mean, doing business in Saudi, very different from doing business in Germany. I mean, what's your take on kind of managing those cultural differences? I mean, I mean, you've mentioned it a few times. How do you handle that?
Yes. And also, it's worth to mention as well, Paul, that I worked in the past as an international communication consultant where I was traveling across the world and especially in emerging markets. So I'd spend 6 months in, Africa, in Zimbabwe, Ethiopia, Cameroon, and then I'll go to Bangladesh, Nepal, and you name it. So I always been in places like that. And I think I found myself even in dangerous situations and, having to deal with, the police or the government. And so I have developed this resilience. early on in my career. Um, and I think at that time, I remember my sister was telling my mother, she's crazy to go in those places." But I guess it was my 20s. I was not that afraid. And I think now the world has changed. It's not the same. I think people can come and do business, but you have to be mindful of those cultural elements. And to be precise, if I go to Saudi, also I'm French Moroccan, so I've got a Muslim background too.
Mm.
So I would go, and in order to be also treated seriously, I would cover my head, just put a bandana. It's not required in some element in Dubai, it's not necessarily, but I would do it as a matter of respecting the place I am.
Mm.
I'm always respectful of where I am and which country I am. And I love learning about the language. I love to speak a few words about on the country, and I'm super curious, and I love various ethnicities. So to me, it's not an issue. I blend very well. I can set up my home tomorrow in India, and I'll be absolutely fine.
Mm.
It's I enjoy the difference as opposed to
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
the
again, it's this mindset thing, isn't it? It's about having a mindset that respects diversity and difference and being adaptable, I guess, isn't it?
and
Let me
business.
ask
Yeah.
let me ask you about growth. I mean, how I mean your business is growing pretty rapidly. It's in a sector that is expanding really fast. I mean, how have you approached that kind of growth process when you started out? What was in your mind? I mean, what was your, I mean, I don't like the language, but what was your growth strategy when you started out, and how well has it worked?
I read somewhere that you have to be obsessed by scalability. So it was already a priority for me.
Right.
As soon as I hit a certain revenue, then I have to ensure that I scale, I grow. So I was obsessed. I was reading books and watching videos, and so I've learned how to manage scalability in the best possible way. So I think that was already sort of, I was trained already because I was
And has the business evolved as you've grown and gone into multiple jurisdictions? I mean, has it changed a lot?
here and there, yes. Not on its authenticity and its culture, but more on its messaging and its positioning. So I've learned how to really be more specific about my offering because I had more interviews with leaders and clients, and I felt more times. And so these are things that are beautiful learning. Of course, at the time you don't enjoy this learning, but they are beautiful learning, and that helps you to strengthen your core messaging, your core offering. But I haven't touched my mission. I haven't touched my vision. I haven't touched my where I'm my achievement, what I'm trying to achieve. That hasn't changed. This is the same. And with the people I work with, the culture is also the same. So authenticity, curiosity, transparency is critical, and is what we thrive at AI Bot Consultancy. So yeah.
Yeah, and I guess those are really important things in terms of, to come back to that point about building relationships. Things like authenticity and transparency are really important for relationship building, aren't they? Which is what underpins it all, really. You mentioned things that you've learned about. Let's just explore that a little bit. I mean, you've been very successful now. The business is very successful. I know you're not at the end of the journey. You've still got a lot of things you want to do, but it's pretty successful now. What do you attribute that success to?
Oh wow. Um, do I have to pick one word, or
Well,
do I
not one word,
do?
but broadly, what do you think's made you successful, made the business successful? What is it?
It's a combination of factors. 100%. It can't be just. one
Mm.
one when you see on this podcast or they ask this question, give me one thing that drives you success, give me one thing. It's almost like they really want to give the audience one thing to remember, but
The
it's
world's more complicated than that, isn't it?
exactly. So there is the resilience, if I have to say one word, is the resilience. Keep going even in days when you're not happy. Yesterday it was raining in London, in UK. The sky felt like it was falling on my shoulders, and I had no motivation. I still went to go to the gym, and I still worked at the end of the day and done the few things that I deemed critical. Um, but so resilience to go forward even on days when you're not happy. Uh, but yes, it's a combination of factors. It's various elements that allow me to, is one client to give me confidence um, in my abilities in pushing those services forward. It's another one, and it's interviews with you. It's interview with other people. It's a combination of element that plays well and support the success. I cannot pinpoint only one skill or one ability. I have to say it's thanks to you. It's thanks to the clients I work for that gives me a voice and gives me the push to drive my mission forward. So
And I mean, I know you've talked about the need to support your team. Do you derive support from them? I mean, is that the other side to that coin?
oh, absolutely, absolutely. I want to work with people who challenge me. I don't, that's the famous sentence. You don't hire people to tell them what to do. I think it was Apple.
Mm.
You hire them so that they tell you what to do, and I truly abide by it. I agree. You want to hire people who can tell you, I want to try this. I think we should go ahead with this. Carte blanche. Absolutely, go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah. Surround yourself with great people. That's the rule, isn't it, really?
And it's not easy. It's not
No,
easy.
no, I'm not saying it is easy. I totally agree with that. But I think if you can get that right, if you can surround yourself with smart, capable, insightful people, you're onto a winner, really.
And that comes, Paul, to also the EPO framework that I
Yeah.
mentioned. The energy, the purpose, and the outcomes is finding people that match the energy that you're looking for, have similar purpose, and can deliver successful outcomes is
Yeah,
critical.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, so it's a beautifully simple framework that actually. I'll talk to you more about that afterwards. Let me ask you about the other side to the coin, the flip side to the coin. I mean, it's things are going really well now. Big success. Has there ever been a moment when you've thought maybe this isn't going to work out? I mean, has that ever happened to you?
So many times. So many times. It's the mind chatter, you see.
Yeah, yeah,
The mind is our worst enemy. It tells us so many things, and no, you have to quiet. No, I know. You have to trust your gut. You have to trust. Of course, there are like data-driven element or decisions that makes you think, okay, maybe we should try to go on the left side as opposed to go on the right side. Of course, but you have to stop the mind chatter. And I learned how to stop that because in the past I would literally be led with my mind and would say, maybe you should take a break, maybe you should stop, maybe this is not gonna, maybe you should think about looking elsewhere, maybe why don't you work on this? And you just like lose the focus,
yeah.
and it's not ideal.
No, I guess it comes back to the point you made earlier on about resilience as well, doesn't it? Really, that's part of being resilient, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, Muhammad Ali famously said, "You don't lose if you get knocked down. You lose if you stay down." I mean, have you ever had a situation when you have felt completely knocked down?
Yes. Beautiful quote, by the way. One of the greatest men in the world. Love that quote. Yes, I found myself so many times down where this is not my first business. I've launched a few in the past, and the first one didn't work out. Everything was falling apart. The vendors, the suppliers relationship, they clients were not there, the traction of consumers were not there, and everything is telling you that it's better to shut the door and just go somewhere else. So yes, I had, and I think now it's working well for me, um, and it will work even better because I've learned through the cracks. I've learned that's what resilience is about. You were asking me about entrepreneurship and how it came and earlier. Um, you know, a lot of people now, and the narrative is there's no better time to build a business, sure. And I encourage everybody to start their own venture, but they have to take into account the failures and the learnings that comes
Yeah.
with it, because
Yeah.
it's not, Rome was not built in 3 days. It takes a while to
Yeah.
become wise. It takes
Yeah.
a while.
Yeah, which is why resilience is important because it's a bit of a never-ending journey, I think. Let me ask you, I mean, you touched on um, the kind of mistakes you've made. I mean, when you look back, what's the biggest mistake that you've made?
Oh, wow. I think it's in my book as well, and I love that you talk about failures and success. Uh, to give you sort of a snapshot. Um, One of the biggest mistake I have made was to not have the eyes on the ball consistently.
Right.
And what I mean by that is to have not have this focus
Yeah.
in the business or in my affairs, or I always felt distracted by other elements and
Mhm.
taking so much. So I think the biggest failure is the lack of focus in
Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
the
And
things that.
it's really easy to be distracted, isn't it? I mean, I've had the same thing. So I totally understand that. Let me ask you about the other side to that coin. Has there ever been a time when you look back and think, I wish I'd been a lot bolder? I'd stuck my neck out more.
Yes. But it's not necessarily my fault. I'd say, but I take full accountability. I would say, Paul, to answer your question, would be I wish I was more authentic even in a workplace, and I shrink down in my work or in what I wanted to achieve as part
Yeah.
of a team. So it's just the context of the environment you are in that force you to sort of be, have that professional
Mm.
attitude or corporate mindset. I think I've shrink too many times, and I had so many ideas at the time and so many things that I wanted to do, and my wings were cut. So I think that's something that I wish I was
Sure.
more bold
Sure.
in.
And it may well be why you like being an entrepreneur, because you get to do the things that you want to do, don't you? That's certainly what I get out of it. And in terms of I know you've achieved a lot. I mean, what would you say, or which of the things that you've achieved are you most proud? I mean, what are the things that you're most proud of so far?
I'm gonna sound a little bit, I hope I don't sound corny, but I think it's to have is to leave a legacy.
Right.
Is to leave a legacy that people will remember that through challenges and failures, and I stand and I raise up again and I raise up again and I raise up, and I'm here and I'm doing the things that matters for the world and the humanity. You started the first question with, are you in the business of making people redundant? No, I'm in the business of making people more valued and more creative, and that's what I support. I support creativity, soulful innovation, and I think I would like to be remembered as such, is leaving a
Mm.
legacy. See, as a woman, some people would say, well, why do you work? Why, you know, I don't work because I have to, in a way. I worked actually to show women that we all have a voice among men, and AI is still, or technology as a whole, is still a world predominantly male
Yeah.
oriented. It is what it is. So I wake up every day to leave a legacy that woman has a voice, woman can lead and drive fantastic businesses and help. So yeah,
Sure.
legacy.
I mean, I think I can see that. I can see that. Couple of final questions. So one which isn't about you and your business, but I'll come to that in a second. If you were to give one piece of advice
Yeah,
to somebody just starting out, a young woman perhaps who was starting out on a journey like yours, I mean, what would that one critical piece of advice be?
one critical, just one.
Just one.
Trust your gut and follow through and keep moving. So trust your gut. Go ahead. And if your intuition not telling you this is the right thing to pursue, but trust your gut.
Hmm. Good advice, I think. Good advice. And one final question that's not really about you or your business. I mean, well, I suppose it is about your business in one sense. You're right in the middle of the way AI is being rolled out across lots of different companies and so on. I mean, give me your take on the way that you think AI is going to shake down over the next few years. I mean, my view is it's going to be pretty interesting, but I can't make any specific predictions. Do you have particular predictions about what's going to happen in the next few years?
I do. I do. I have prediction. I look at how the market is evolving and the solutions that are being provided, of course. And sometimes I feel a little bit biased around those predictions because I feel like I have this excitement and fascination about the new technology. So, uh, but this opinion or this perception that I have about how the market is going through it's fairly accurate, to be honest. It's
Mhm.
99% of the time is accurate and it matched the market, so where the solution are heading. So I'd say in a few years, we'll be able to ditch the iPhone and have our assistant, which what I call LLO, large language object. And you won't have the need to look at your phone and stare at the phone. You'll be able to look at the world, but you will interact with an assistant and it will have all the things that you need. So of course, AI embedded, model embedded, and you'll be able to ask any question. It'll become your technologic assistant that can send emails and do perform tasks for you. So I think that is a game changer to me,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's what
I definitely think that would be a game changer when that happens. So, I mean, I hope it comes true. I hope your prediction's right.
I.
Um, Fatima, thank you for taking a bit of time out. What a fascinating story. Really, really interesting and a very exciting time. I mean, it was interesting what you were just saying. I mean, I can see why you're so excited about the way this technology can be developed and deployed because it really can change the world for people, can't it? So thank you for taking a bit of time out. Thank you for sharing those views, and you know, best of luck.
And thank you for giving me a voice again. Thank you, Paul.
Cheers. Bye bye, Fatima. Bye bye.